Kimber here from Moksha Yoga and Wellness. If you've been following Moksha, you guys know we like to get our sweat on besides our yoga. So join me for this short core activating sequence just to fire it up at the middle of the day or any time when you feel like you need a little boost and a little core strength. You don't need any equipment for this practice besides your mat or a soft place to lay down. So we'll start by coming down onto our backs. Knees will be bent, feet flat on the mat. So in this starting position, let's get really clear on what this is before we begin. So your knees are in line with your hips. They're not splaying out, they're not tucking in. Your feet are nice and rooted and supporting your legs. And then as we move through all of these exercises, obviously we're going to be focusing on the core. So let's prep it a little bit and get it ready. If you slide your hand underneath your low back right now, you can probably slide it in for most of us because of that natural curve in your lumbar spine. So what I want you to do while you're laying here is think about tucking your pelvis under and look how my low back presses into the mat. No longer can I slide my hand underneath that low back. That natural curve is gone. I'm actively pressing my back down because of that tuck of my pelvis. The next step is to pull your belly button back towards your spine, which is going to turn on all of those front muscles of your core. And then the last step is imagine you're stitching your ribs together at the center line, almost like they're sides of a jacket, and you're zipping them up. So pushing down through the belly button, and then pulling everything towards the center line. And when I do that, I feel all of my abdominals firing. You want to be able to touch it and feel a little bit more stiffness than you would if you were just laying here normally, and that's how you know all of your abs are on. So we'll start here with a Pilates-inspired move, the march. So you're going to keep your core exactly as it is, pressing the low back down, pulling the belly button up. Knees are going to come parallel to the floor, and then from here, without bending your knee, the movement is a hinge at the hips, touching one toe, then the other. So if this feels really easy, then you're probably using your hip flexors instead of your core. So think about those cues we talked about pressing the low back down, getting rid of that curve, pulling the belly button towards the spine, and then stitching those ribs together like you're zipping up a jacket. From there, once you have that core activation, it's your core that's moving your legs. It should feel like a totally different exercise. Remembering to breathe. Remember, this is active. It's really easy to get lazy and just forget everything and just move your legs, but you really have to keep pushing everything, turning everything on. Keep going. We'll go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For any of these exercises, go ahead and bring your feet down. Come down early. Stay up longer. You are the world's leading expert on your own body, so you do what you need to do. I'm just making suggestions. We'll go into another set of those marches. So pressing the low back down so you can't get your hand under there. Belly button to the spine, ribs together, lift the knees. You can stay here, or for an interesting variation, extend the legs, scoop up and in. Same thing here. Your core is what's supporting the weight of your leg, not your hip flexors. If at any time this causes pain in the low back, please, please, please reduce your range of motion, stop, take a break, listen to that sign of your body. Your core's job, one of its many jobs, is to protect the low back. So if this is hurting your low back, it just means your core isn't quite strong enough yet to fully perform that job when we're stressing it in a way such as this. So that just means you could work up to it, but don't by any means strain your low back. Just more gradually and patiently build the core. Wherever you are, keep breathing. Remember not to get lazy, still actively pressing the low back down, pulling the belly button in. Harder than it looks. We'll go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it all down, take a rest. In between any of these exercises, you can windshield your legs side to side if that feels nice. Or maybe it feels nice to just take your feet wider than the mat, let your knees fall in towards each other. Or maybe you just want to give yourself a nice little hug, pull the knees into the chest. Whatever feels like a nice release on these little breaks. But they're not too long. We're ready for the next one. So we're going to set up the exact same way as that first exercise. Press the low back down by tucking the pelvis. Belly button comes down towards the mat, pulling the ribs together, lifting the knees. This time we're going to glue them together, and we're just going to go 45 to the side. Use an exhale to pull you back up to center. 45 to the other side. It's okay if you get a little lift of your hip here. Exhale, pull you back to center. The exhaling is a little way to help us out a little bit, because that actually is pulling all of those muscles in, contracting the core a little bit already. So we're just setting our body up for success by using that exhale, strong core to bring us back to center. So you control the range of motion here. If you feel like you can go a little bit further for a little more of a challenge, that's fine. Or maybe you just stay in this out position for a second longer before you come back. But if you just need to make tiny movements side to side, that is fine too. Meet your body where you are. Checking in, making sure you're still breathing, making sure you're actively contracting the core muscles. Nice. Keep on going. It's a really good one. Another way to adjust the difficulty is how far away your knees are. If you push them a little further away from you, it makes the exercise just a little bit harder. Whereas keeping the knees closer to your body, a little bit easier. Go ahead and come on down. Take a quick breath. If you ever want to work for, I think it's 6 minutes without taking any breaths, I love this video. It's one of the Cirque du Soleil performers. It's called Unicycle Abs. Look it up. It's absolutely fantastic. So, next one, keeping with the same position, take the low back down, tuck the pelvis, belly button, ribs, lift the shins. This time, I like to cross the ankles. That's up to you. Now we're going to engage the upper abs that control a little bit more of the top part of our body. So we're going to imagine that there is a rope, like you used to climb in PE class, hanging down from the ceiling that comes down right between your knees. Now all you have to do is climb the rope. So you're going to reach up with one shoulder, then the other shoulder. Your range of motion here, whatever makes sense for you and your body. Come down and rest if you need to, or crank out a few extra reps if you want to. It's your practice. I like to sync this one up with my breath too, but that's the yoga teacher in me. Totally your choice. Inhale and exhale. Make sure you're getting a little bit of a twist here. Starting to ask the obliques to do a little bit of work. So your core isn't just one big muscle. It's not just the rectus abdominis, those six-pack abs. It's your obliques, it's your transverse abdominis, some of your pelvic floor muscles. We want to hit all of them. If you're feeling tension in your neck or shoulders or your head, see if you can gently release if you're holding. If that doesn't work, just take a rest. Now let's all come down, take a breath. Of course, if you're feeling great, want to crank out a few reps, that's fine too. So next one is going to look a little bit similar, but with a different leg position. So instead of just our shins lifted up off the mat, our feet are going to reach up, soles of the feet towards the ceiling, dog hair on my feet. Now you're still going to imagine that you're kind of climbing your rope. And this same thing, your range of motion. I like to think about tapping the outside edge of my foot. Still contracting the core, making sure everything is turned on. Checking in with your breath. For some folks, some are actually really important muscle groups, like our abdominals and our glutes, can actually have amnesia. They can be turned off for so long. Other muscles are just so used to doing their job that these muscles kind of forget how to fire, and we have to ask them to come back online. We don't want ab amnesia. Actually reminds me I should make some glute videos. That's one of my other favorite areas to work out. So keep here with what you're doing with the gentle reach, or option, reach, pulse. Reach, pulse just a little higher, up to you. No tension in the head, neck, and shoulders. We won't be here long. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come down. Nice work. That's a tough one for sure. Take a second. Just catch your breath. Release the low back. Whatever will feel nice and juicy for your body. Alright, we're about halfway through. Now we're going to move into the lower abs. An area that we don't target as much, is generally weak on a lot of people, and needs the love. So for these, excuse me, different position. We're going to take our hands to the outside of your pelvis. This positioning is going to look a little bit different on everybody. For me, my hands are like this, kind of almost making a pattern design around the outside of my sacrum. Some people, it's going to be more towards the hips. I just think that this aligns your pelvis a little bit better for the movement that we're about to do. So from here, obviously you cannot press your low back down into the mat, so you need to be even more mindful of contracting from the front of our core, pulling that belly button in, and then imagine that you have on a really tight pair of jeans and you can just barely fit in them and you're trying to zip them up. You know how that kind of, like someone just punched you in the stomach, pulling it all in towards the center, contracting it all. That's what we need. So from here, in this really contracted position, all you have to do is lift your legs. Just a few inches. It doesn't need to be way up here. You can readjust your hands as you need to make sure that your pelvis feels nice and supported. Again, making sure we're not causing any pain in the low back here. If you need to modify, if this is too much, you can bend the legs, bring them closer to you. We're just going to hang out here for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on down, take a quick breath. Those are tough. Good job, y'all. We're going to do a whole other set of those because they're just so much fun. Why wouldn't we? So lift from here. We'll just do some really small pulses, just a micro movement. It's totally okay if you start to shake. We are smartly tearing down some muscles so that it can rebuild stronger. If you're tired of the pulses, you can scissor up and down, back and forth. Putting on that tight pair of jeans, everything up and in. I know these aren't fun. Come down when you need or stay with me for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come all the way down. Very nice. Take a breath. Release the low back. And taking your time, we are going to roll over onto our bellies. Whatever that looks like for you, if you need to take a pose in between, go ahead. It can also feel nice to windshield wiper from the belly position as well. Once you're ready, we're gonna do some Superwomans because our back is still part of our core, still works very hard in supporting us, and definitely needs to be worked as well. So we'll do 3 sets. We'll start with a little bit milder and work our way up. You stay where you need to be. So many options. Choose your own adventure. First, we're going to be laying down and just do opposite arm and leg lift. It's up to you. You can have your forehead down. Or chest lifted. We'll work it a little bit more. Just slow and controlled movement. And see if you can bring your attention to your back. Where attention goes, energy flows. Such a small, simple movement, but we're doing so much good for our stability. We'll go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it all down to the mat. Release for a breath. You can windshield wiper back and forth again if you'd like. You can practice deep breathing so much so that you move your lower back with your breath. All right, next one, we're gonna do some full body lifts. So you can have arms under shoulders or out to the side, out in front if you'd really like. I think that's the most challenging. We're just gonna lift, lower, lift, lower. Keep going your own pace, your own range of motion. These can be as big or as small as you need. Making sure you're breathing, making sure you're not holding tension in the neck and shoulders. Let's go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring it all back down. Wiggle the hips side to side if that would feel like a nice release for the hips. Then we're going to get ready for a 3rd set. You can go back to either of the first 2 sets we just did. Or, if you're looking for more of a challenge, we're going to do these lifts again, but we're never actually going to come back down to the mat. So this is our starting position, this is our lifting position. Lift, lower, but everything stays up off the mat. So pick where you need to be today. If that's still coming down to the mat, that's totally fine. And when you're ready, begin. Remembering to breathe. Taking it at your own pace. Doing work like this is one of the few times where you don't want to push it. We go for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. one. Bring it down. Nice work. Windshield wiper. Or wiggle the hips. Taking some deep breaths. Catching your breath. So deceiving. It's like you're not sweating, but you sure are working hard. So for the next movement, we're going to get into the obliques, which we touched on before, but definitely deserve their own attention and their own exercise. So, if it's comfortable for you, we're going to come up into a forearm plank. If you need to use a blanket under elbows or any other sort of prop, feel free. From this forearm plank, walk our feet off of our mat. So I'm walking my feet to the left, which means that I'm going to dip my hips down to the left, away from my mat. You will feel that oblique pulling you back up. This is a tough one. We are nearing the end. Your obliques will thank you for it. Come down early if you need. Let's go for 3, 2, 1. Take a moment, put the knees down if you need to. Take a rest in the center before we switch sides. That's a tough one. You're doing great. And when you're ready, we'll go to the other side. So finding that forearm plank again. This time I'm going to walk my feet to the right. Dip my hips down to the right. So my shoulders aren't moving. It's from my rib cage down. Belly button is still pulled towards the spine. My right oblique is working real hard. My left one's pulling me back up. Let's go for 3, 2, and 1. Bring those knees back to the mat. Come to a seated position. Take a breath here. Know that you are doing just fine. We have 3 more exercises left. So when you're ready, we'll come back to sit on our seat. Same as when we were lying down, knees bent, feet flat on the mat, tall, straight back. One more quick oblique exercise. We're going to do some twists. So option, you can keep your feet flat on the mat if that's accessible to you. We're going to be twisting side to side. If this causes pain or discomfort, reduce your range of motion or just skip this one. If this feels okay, you're looking for something more, lift the feet across the ankles. You can also think about speed or slow and controlled. Benefits to both. Pick where feels right for you today. Keep breathing, keep moving. Take breaks as you need. If you can't keep your back straight and tall, maybe bring those feet down. Let's go for 10. 5, 3, 2, 1. Bring it down. Nice work. I've always heard those called Russian twists, and it's always been a mystery to me because I have no idea what is Russian about them. So if you know, please let me know. I'd be very interested. All right, we got 2 left, 2 of our doozies, and it'll be a quick descent to rest. So from this seated position, we're going to move into some boat pose crunches. So if you're familiar in yoga, boat pose, you're going to come out to a hollow hold, crunch it up. This is one where how much you move totally depends on you. Making sure you have a long, straight spine. If you can't keep a long spine, reduce your range of motion. Starting to feel the shake. No, it's a good one. Let's go for 10. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Been told I count slow before. Don't know if that's true or not. All right, last movement. A little bit of an afterburner. Just get everything out, whatever's left in the tank. So many options. We're just gonna do some sort of static hold. So that can be anything from the boat pose, anything in between, all the way down to a hollow hold. Wherever you need to be, we're gonna hold it as long as we can. We're gonna shake, it's gonna be great. Any pain in your low back, any nerve pinching or anything, please just come down and relax. You've done a lot of great work already. So, when you've picked where you need to be, let's hold. Oh, hello there, shaky shakes. Keep breathing even though your core is very contracted. This is a tough one, you're doing great. Holding out a little bit longer if you can. And release. Very nice, very nice. We'll do just a couple of cool down exercises, making sure we're taking care of our spine, stretching out a little bit. Since we're on our backs, we'll start with a twist. Just letting the feet come to one side. The shoulders are heavy against the back of the mat. Arms can come out to a T. Option, if it's comfortable on your neck, to look the opposite direction of your knees. Just an option. When you're ready, bring those knees back to center. We'll twist the other way, so letting the knees fall to the other side, shoulders still heavy, gaze in the opposite direction. Breathing as deep as you can, even though your abdomen's a little constricted in a twist. So good. You're gonna feel so happy that you did this. And every time you do it, it's gonna get a little easier. When you're ready, bring those knees back to center. Hug them into the chest, maybe roll around a little bit. Just give that low back a little massage. Work out any of the grumpies. And then we'll do one quick stretch for the core. My favorite is a cobra or an up dog from yoga. So, wrists under the shoulders. Doesn't matter so much here if hips and thighs are lifted up off the mat. What you're worried about is just feeling a stretching and an opening on the front body. Still breathing. Very nice. Good work, my friends. I hope you enjoyed that little core soiree. If you liked it, let me know and I'll make some more videos like this one as well. So, thanks. See y'all later.